A world ignited, America at the forefront. The world watches with bated breath as the unfolding events shape the future of global politics. Ukraine and Israel, two nations grappling with existential threats, find themselves at the heart of a global power struggle. Their struggles are emblematic of the larger geopolitical tensions that are simmering across the globe. At the center of this maelstrom stands the United States, its role evolving, its actions under intense scrutiny. The decisions made in Washington have far-reaching consequences, impacting not just the immediate regions, but the entire world. A new era of global politics is dawning, one characterized by shifting alliances, economic warfare, and the specter of conflict. The traditional power structures are being challenged, and new alliances are being forged in the crucible of these turbulent times. The stakes have never been higher. Every decision, every move on the global chessboard, carries with it the potential for significant repercussions. The post-Cold War world order, carefully constructed over decades, is crumbling. The institutions and agreements that once provided stability are now under threat, and the world is witnessing a seismic shift in the balance of power. In its place, a more volatile and unpredictable landscape is emerging, one where power dynamics are fluid and the rules of engagement are constantly rewritten. Nations are navigating uncharted waters, trying to assert their influence and protect their interests. The United States, long the guarantor of global security, is now faced with a series of daunting challenges that will test its resolve, its resources, and its commitment to its allies. The world looks to America for leadership, but the path forward is fraught with uncertainty. At the heart of this new world disorder lies a fundamental question. What is the role of the United States in the 21st century? This question is not just about policy, but about the very identity and values of the nation. Is it to be the world's policeman, intervening in conflicts across the globe? This role has been both lauded and criticized, with arguments about its effectiveness and moral implications. Or should it adopt a more restrained posture, focusing on its own interests and leaving other nations to fend for themselves? This approach, while appealing to some, raises questions about the consequences of a power vacuum on the global stage. The answers to these questions will have profound implications for the future of global peace and security. The choices made today will shape the world for generations to come. The United States faces a critical choice. The direction it takes will influence not only its own destiny, but the fate of countless other nations. It can retreat from the world, embracing isolationism and retrenchment. This path may offer short-term relief but could lead to long-term instability. Or it can rise to the challenge, reaffirming its commitment to global leadership and working with its allies to shape a more stable and prosperous future. This path requires courage, vision, and a willingness to engage with the complexities of the modern world. The path chosen will determine not only the fate of nations, but the very course of the 21st century. The world watches, waits, and hopes for a future where peace and cooperation prevail. The power of the purse loans and frozen funds as political tools. The United States has long recognized the persuasive power of its economy, leveraging its financial strength to influence global affairs. In recent years, this economic might has increasingly been deployed as a strategic tool in international relations, shaping the geopolitical landscape. Loans, once primarily intended for economic development, are now frequently used to exert political influence, shoring up friendly regimes and advancing American interests abroad. These financial lifelines can stabilize economies, but they also come with strings attached. The freezing of assets, once a measure reserved for rogue states and terrorist organizations, has also become a favored instrument in the American foreign policy arsenal. This tactic can cripple economies and pressure governments to change their behavior. From the frozen funds of Russian oligarchs to the blocked accounts of Iranian institutions, the weaponization of finance has become a defining feature of the new global order. These actions send a clear message to the international community about the consequences of defying U.S. policies. This tactic, while effective in applying pressure, also carries significant risks. The economic repercussions can be far-reaching, affecting not just the targeted entities, but also global markets. Critics argue that the use of financial sanctions can backfire, driving targeted countries closer to American adversaries and harming innocent civilians caught in the crossfire. The humanitarian impact of these measures cannot be overlooked. Additionally, the erosion of trust in the global financial system, with the US dollar at its core, could have unintended consequences for the long-term stability of the international economic order. The reliability of the US dollar as the world's reserve currency is at stake. While the debate over the ethical and strategic implications of these financial maneuvers continues, one thing is clear. The United States has entered a new era of economic statecraft. The tools of finance are now as crucial as military might in the pursuit of national interests. The lines between finance and foreign policy have blurred, and the world is grappling with the implications of this paradigm shift. As nations navigate this complex landscape, the balance of power continues to evolve, driven by the ever-changing dynamics of economic influence. Election year. Politics, a catalyst for interventionism. As the United States gears up for another contentious election cycle, questions about the influence of domestic politics on foreign policy decisions loom large. Historically, election years have often witnessed a surge in international activism, as incumbent administrations seek to project an image of strength and decisiveness on the global stage. The current geopolitical landscape, fraught with tensions and uncertainty, provides fertile ground for such political maneuvering. With the eyes of the world fixed on Ukraine and Israel, the temptation to leverage these crises for domestic political gain is likely to prove irresistible for both parties. This dynamic carries both opportunities and risks. On the one hand, heightened attention to international affairs can lead to increased public engagement and a more informed debate on foreign policy. On the other hand, the politicization of complex global issues can oversimplify narratives, polarize public opinion, and hinder the development of nuanced and effective solutions. The challenge for policymakers will be to strike a delicate balance between addressing pressing international challenges and avoiding the pitfalls of election year politics. The stakes are too high and the potential consequences too great for global crises to be reduced to mere political theater. Section 4. A transatlantic alliance tested. European reactions to U.S. actions. Across the Atlantic, European nations observe America's bold moves with a mixture of admiration and apprehension. The actions taken by the United States on the global stage are closely scrutinized by European leaders, who weigh the potential impacts on their own policies and security. The historical bond of the transatlantic alliance, forged in the crucible of World War II and solidified during the Cold War, is being tested in the face of new global realities. This alliance, which has been a cornerstone of international stability, now faces challenges that require both sides to reassess their strategies and commitments. While European nations largely share America's concerns about Russia and China, there are differences in approach and priorities. These differences stem from varying historical experiences, geopolitical interests, and domestic political pressures that shape each nation's foreign policy. The European Union, with its emphasis on diplomacy, multilateralism, and economic interdependence, often favors a more cautious and measured approach to international crises. This approach reflects the EU's foundational principles and its desire to maintain stability through dialogue and cooperation. The bloc's reliance on Russian energy, particularly natural gas, further complicates its ability to fully align with Washington's more hawkish stance. Energy security remains a critical concern for many European countries, influencing their foreign policy decisions and their willingness to confront Russia directly. This divergence in perspectives has led to tensions within the alliance. European leaders must balance their commitments to the transatlantic partnership with the need to address their own national interests and public opinion. European leaders have expressed concerns about the potential for escalation and unintended consequences arising from America's more assertive posture. They worry that aggressive actions could lead to broader conflicts, destabilizing regions and creating new security threats. They argue for a more calibrated approach, one that combines firmness with a willingness to engage in dialogue and diplomacy. This balanced strategy aims to address security threats while avoiding unnecessary provocations and maintaining open channels for negotiation. The future of the transatlantic relationship hinges on the ability of the United States and its European allies to bridge these differences. Both sides must work together to find common ground and develop coordinated responses to global challenges. Finding common ground on key issues, such as the conflict in Ukraine and the Iranian nuclear program, will be crucial to maintaining a united front against shared challenges. Effective collaboration on these and other issues will demonstrate the strength and resilience of the transatlantic alliance. A fractured alliance would be a boon to adversaries and would undermine efforts to uphold the rules-based international order. Ensuring the continued unity and effectiveness of the transatlantic partnership is essential for addressing the complex and evolving threats of the 21st century. Section 5. Beyond the battlefield, the global economic fallout. The reverberations of the conflicts in Ukraine and Israel extend far beyond the battlefield, sending shockwaves through the global economy. The interconnectedness of the modern world means that even geographically distant conflicts can have profound and far-reaching economic consequences. The most immediate impact has been on energy markets. Russia's invasion of Ukraine, coupled with Western sanctions on Russian oil and gas exports, has sent energy prices soaring, fueling inflation and raising concerns about energy security worldwide. This energy crisis has hit Europe particularly hard, as the continent grapples with dwindling supplies and the prospect of a cold winter ahead. Supply chains, already strained by the COVID-19 pandemic, have been further disrupted. Disruptions to agricultural exports from Ukraine, a major grain producer, have exacerbated global food insecurity, particularly in developing countries heavily reliant on these imports. The rise of protectionist policies, as countries prioritize domestic needs, threatens to further fragment global trade and hamper economic recovery. These economic challenges have the potential to spill over into the political realm. Rising inflation, coupled with economic uncertainty, could fuel social unrest and political instability in vulnerable countries. The global community must work together to mitigate these risks, ensuring energy security, strengthening supply chains, and providing assistance to those most in need. Failure to do so could have dire consequences for global stability and